Dopamine. You've heard of it, but you've got a wrong idea of what it actually is. All the dopamine detox videos on YouTube say that you need less dopamine to be more happy and more motivated. But in reality, it's actually the complete opposite. The reason you struggle with staying motivated every day for weeks, months, or even years is because you lack dopamine and you can't control it yet. In this full dopamine control guide, I will help you understand what dopamine is, what causes its deprivation, how to restore it, how to control it, and finally how to stay motivated 24/7. Back when I started working on my own business in August 2022, I remember being extremely motivated to work, Sigma grind mindset and stuff like that. I grew on Instagram for 14,000 followers to 144,000, so the results were insane. But then in September, a low point hit me. I couldn't do anything. I would just lay down in my bed, scroll through social media or talk on Discord with my friends, and had absolutely no drive for any work. And maybe you can relate to my story somehow, because my high and low happened over the period of 1 month, but sometimes it used to happen even on a daily basis. I would be extremely productive on Monday, but then I wouldn't be able to do anything on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I think that you may feel like that sometimes too. And let me tell you that this whole motivation irregularity is caused by poor dopamine control or complete lack of it. But before we talk about how to control it, I gotta tell you what it is in the first place. So what is dopamine? Dopamine does many things in our bodies, and many people say that it's in general just a happiness hormone, but it's not true. Dopamine is more of a motivation hormone. And how do we know that dopamine isn't a happiness hormone? Well, because there were studies which proved that people with low dopamine levels can still experience pleasure, but people with low dopamine don't feel like putting in any effort to pursue pleasure or any goal in general. In other YouTube videos, I found this idea that, for example, eating chocolate gives you dopamine, or scrolling through social media gives you dopamine, but it's not true, because those things actually use your dopamine that you have inside of you. We'll get to that in a second, but because we know that your dopamine is actually inside of you already, when your dopamine levels are high, you will want to pursue goals, pleasures, and stuff like that. So basically you will be motivated. So basically, to stay motivated 24/7, you have to keep your dopamine at the same level, and this is what dopamine control is all about. Dopamine control is about controlling how much dopamine you use. You already kind of know what dopamine is, so now we can start talking about dopamine control, and first we're going to get to dopamine deprivation. To help you understand the rest of the video later, I want you to imagine that your dopamine is like water in a small garden pool. As you imagine water in a pool, you can imagine that when you're sleeping, resting, basically not swimming, not doing anything, then it's going to stay at the same level. On the other hand, when you're gonna start doing something, so for example swimming, you're gonna start creating waves with your hands. And the bigger the waves that you're going to create, and the more water is going to splash out of your pool. So basically your dopamine level is going to lower. And once water level in your pool gets too low, then naturally you will want to get out, because you won't be able to create any more waves, you won't be able to pursue any more pleasure, any goals, so you basically won't be motivated. The key to controlling your dopamine levels is controlling your output, so basically creating huge waves only for when you actually need it. I would make this mistake that I would listen to very energetic, like hardstyle or heavy rap music when I was only commuting to the gym. So I would be very motivated, but then when I would arrive at the gym, I wouldn't have energy to work out anymore. This all happened because I created huge waves by listening to loud and exciting music, and then once I already arrived at the gym, my pool was completely empty. There are of course many things that create huge waves, but the things that I can get off the top of my head are social media, especially short form content, video games, junk food, porn, sex, caffeine, alcohol, and realistically, you won't be able to focus and work with high motivation after pursuing those activities, so for example, partying with alcohol. Am I saying that you cannot drink coffee before work? Well, you can, but you have to watch out for dopamine peaks, so basically layering different things that cause huge waves in your pool, because once many huge waves are created, then a huge tsunami is going to appear. Layering is, for example, drinking coffee with caffeine and listening to exciting music at the same time. If you do that in the morning, then you can be 100% sure that in the afternoon you're going to be fatigued. In general, I would advise you to avoid any huge waves before working. Like, this is literally the first thing that I'm doing today. I just woke up, I didn't even eat breakfast, I just sat down to work because I want to save my water for work when I actually need to create huge waves. Now you should understand pretty much everything about dopamine deprivation, but there's the second key element, which is restoring dopamine that you already lost. There are basically two ways to restore restore dopamine levels. But before we get to that, let's go back to the pool example quickly. Imagine that you gotta fill up your pool. Is it going to take more time and effort to fill up a pool that's 10% full or the one that's 50% full? Like, of course, you need more time and energy to fill up the one that's 10% full. So, when it comes to dopamine, you don't want to get to the point where you cannot do anything when your pool is empty. You want to refill your pool once a day when you're not tired yet. I won't lie to you, this is going to require some discipline from you because you will have to refill your pool before you actually feel that anything is wrong with it. And that's what this whole staying motivated 24/7 thing is about. You're gonna refill your pool all the time, that way your water level isn't going to get too low. I said that there are two ways to refill your pool, but some people say that there are three, because once their dopamine levels get too low, they reach out for stuff like energy drinks. And now I'm going to explain to you why energy drinks are trash. Basically, because they're going to create huge waves out of no water in the pool. So, once the water is going to splash out, your pool is going to get even deeper, but it's going to be completely empty. So now, not only that it will take even more effort to fill up the pool, you're going to be left underground, so basically with no energy at all to live. The first proper way to restore your dopamine levels is getting quality sleep, and it is as simple as that. This is the most important thing, that 80% of your nights you want to get quality sleep, but actually high quality sleep. For some people it's 8 hours, for others it's 9 hours, but you don't want to go for under 8 hours. Here's a counterintuitive approach that most people don't understand. Do not ever sacrifice your sleep for work. This is what all those Sigma motherfuckers don't understand. You will not get better results if you sleep 2 hours but work 18 hours. If you get more quality sleep, then you're going to create better work in less time. So whenever I'm running low on time, I have a lot of shit to do but I just can't finish it before the deadlines, I do not sacrifice my sleep. Instead, I don't set an alarm clock and I just let myself sleep as much as I want. And I'm much more motivated, which transfers to higher quality work. And that's because I basically refilled my pool. Just remember that getting good quality sleep is the number one most important thing when it comes to staying motivated, but the second one is NSDR. And NSDR stands for non-sleep deep rest. NSDR is a practice very similar to meditation. Some people even call it a meditation, but it is not a meditation because meditation is a focus practice, while NSDR is proven to restore dopamine levels and even make up for lost sleep, which is insane. So after creating huge waves for a few hours, you're gonna take a break, sit down and search on YouTube for NSDR Andrew Huberman. Andrew Huberman's protocols are the ones I like the most. So you're going to sit down for 10, 15, 20 minutes depending on how long the protocol you find is. Preferably you want to do that with headphones on, and then you're just going to follow to whatever Andrew Huberman in your headphones says. Remember that first of all, you can do NSDR any time of the day, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, and even if you wake up in the middle of the night. And the second thing is that even if you fall asleep during NSDR, you will get the benefits anyway, because then you're going to have sleep deep rest. Now you know what causes dopamine deprivation, but you also know how to restore it. So we'll get to the final part, which is controlling your dopamine. You have to understand that this whole process is different for different people. So in my case, my high and low point lasted for a month, but in your case, your pool may become empty in just a few days. To keep your dopamine levels stable in a motivated state for at least 5 days a week, you want to follow a routine that is built around dopamine control. Your routine has to involve getting quality sleep, doing NSDR in the middle of the day, and not creating any huge waves before work. You also have to find out how many hours during the day you can work in a really focused state, not to empty your pool. For me, that is about 6 hours. Of course, I will try to improve that in the future, but for now I'm keeping it at the same level. To make everything easier for you, I have already developed the perfect routine that is built around dopamine control, and if you want to see it, then you can check out this video. And remember that if you do those things for days, months, or even years, then you will stay motivated 24/7 all the time. Thank you for being here with me, bro. If you learned something new, then please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in my next video.